Hey guys, Stealth here. I'm looking at Jungle Law right now, Wargame Red Dragon, and of course in the Jungle Law map, infantry is king. You got so many tree lines, so many villages across the map that infantry is going to do a really outstanding job here, if you got the right guys for the job. Now the right guys for the job, if you are on Red 4, as I am right now, is, as far as I'm concerned, Eastern European Motorized, or the Eastern Bloc Motorized. I'm going to push up right through the middle, trying to capture this town as quickly as possible. And the good news is that it is on my side. The bad news is that it's pretty clustered. If I park my infantry in here, even one heavy bombing run like an F-111 could wipe out quite some infantry. So what I need to worry about is airstrikes and making sure that I have enough defense against that. Now it's a 10v10, so we got plenty of troops being spawned in, and with a map the size of this, you can actually do a 10v10 quite nicely. You can see a lot of conflict going on in the next 35 minutes, most of which is going to be taking place around Mike and Golf, and around Echo and Hotel. Usually you don't see that much happening down here in Juliet, but I do get some help from the right here from Ironic. As for my starting units, I'm going with a bunch of infantry, of course being a motorized, a couple of Flampanzers, and I also immediately spawn in my Prem as mortars, and I'm bringing a 4 group of those. They are a bit hard to find between all the other units here, but these are the units that I'm bringing right now. I had no more points at the start, so this is all I could bring. And what I'm bringing is mostly infantry, a couple of commandosis, a couple of recon units, some AA Iglas, or Groms, I'm not sure, I'd have to check that. Other units I have are, believe, God, it was so long ago that this game started. Let's just push this up and start offloading them. Immediately I encounter quite the helo rush here, but the helo rush didn't quite materialize. So instead I offload everything I have, which includes LSTRs, which are of course really useful against helos, as well as my Grom troopers, and I should have moved those transports up a bit more to have them help out with their heavy machine guns. But even though I didn't do that, I had quite a lot of AA firepower here, and these helos really felt the brunt of that. You can see that a lot of Black Hawks are going down. Just scored a kill on a DAP there. Second DAP went down. And I don't care that at this stage the LSTRs are almost out of AA ammo. Because the job here for me is to start nailing those choppers before they actually offload their infantry or before they do damage. And that's exactly what the LSTRs did. And my investment in LSTRs here is 70 points, and they already scored quite a lot more than that. The Grom's also doing a great job. And now it's time to get a resupply and hold this town. So as far as sort of line infantry or holding infantry, I got 60 Commandosi and another 30 Wachregiment. And with these guys I have more than enough infantry to hold this town. Specialny Jetnotki are here as spotters / defenders. They are all elite and they have 16 72mm heat RPGs, which can do quite a bit of damage. Managed to nail another chopper there with my Groms, which instantly went elite as well. And the beauty of having mortars right from the start is that I can immediately start to push up. I can put up a smoke screen and walk the Commandosis through the smoke screen into the tree line here. I had expected a bit more of a counter push here by Blue 4, but because I shot down those choppers and I scored quite a few points there, 315, I managed to probably kill off some infantry before they got the chance to get offloaded from those helos. And that makes it so that I can actually walk in here quite easily. But of course this town is a completely different matter. Now for some reason Blue 4 thought it was useful to fire a couple of cluster munitions here. Well, I don't have anything there. And the only thing that I actually encounter in this tree line is a bunch of Navy SEALs and a group of Delta Force. But they don't really stand a chance against 60 Commandosis. And you can see that even though the SEALs have a grenade launcher, they're going down real quick. And the Delta Force, of course, is next. So that's another bit of points there. I'm constantly moving my mortars about because there is an MLRS in the area. And at one stage I'm going to forget to move it, and that's going to cost me. You'll see about that a little bit later. Bringing in a Kolos to make sure I have my AA backup, as well as some holding infantry, which is just Motorschützen. Motorschützen is enough to hold this town with a light regiment or a light detachment, so that my other more advanced or more specialistic infantry can move up. Also bringing in some more Scots with Commandosis, because I want to take control of these tree lines and hills. You can really easily and quickly rack up a lot of points if you can start nailing vehicles like the STRF, the Bradley and other units that may happen to get into the range of my either mortars or infantry. You can see that over here on the right, Ironic has pushed up quite far and he's completely securing my right flank. I should have pushed up here a little bit more aggressive, but I did lose one group of Commandosis there, so I only have 10 left, and the other 20 I'm sending toward the west to try and engage anything that could come out there until my reinforcements arrive. Which is not too long on this map, but you want to be able to secure these flanks before they start to pushing from the left. A couple of Flampanzers pushing up here in the middle to make sure that I have enough anti-infantry capacity or put the forest on fire if there's too many troops coming through. And now I've also split up my Specialnies to allow me to spot in multiple different locations. I want to have a bit of spotting capacity there as well as some over there, so that I can see what's in this tree line as well as what vehicles could be holed up along that village there. And you can see that I actually have transports all over the place. Mortars are engaging a new vehicle here. This is the STRF 9040 that you saw pulled back into this tree line earlier. But these things just have too much armor. I cannot engage and kill it with one salvo. Immediately moving the mortars away again. I don't want those things to be in a predictable location or firing from the same location every time. Now the one thing that I mentioned at the start of the video is that AA is really important at this stage, but I just don't have a lot. I got my LSTRs, I got my Groms, and that's it. That's all that I have as far as AA goes. So I could and should have brought a bit more. Commandosi is coming down the hill here, killing off the STRF. And what I wanted to do was encircle this position and nail the Panzerskite so that the Morskayas would have a bit of an easier job. At the same time, I'm shelling this position with my mortars. And a bit of a danger close run by Radrigar, but these Panzerskite are getting the hell shot out of them, and you can see that they're dying really quickly. Moving with the Commandosis, capturing this building. And there is even another important target there. That's another 80-point recon vehicle, and I want to try and get that with the Specialnies. There you go, Commandosis are also opening up with their own RPG. Didn't quite hit it yet, and now I'm moving up, but the Commandosis managed to kill off that 80-pointer. Other units we have moving up here are Abrams. And these Abrams are presenting a nice sight target to me, because they are angling to reverse. And that's perfect for my Specialnies, because with that I can shoot them in the side and deliver a hefty 20 armor penetration damage. Hopefully before those things make it away too far. There you go, nailed one tank. The other one is getting too far away, so I push my infantry back into the tree line as quickly as possible. Now a bit of a bug there, or maybe the game wasn't updating yet, or whatever you want to describe it as, but you saw two tanks while there was actually just one surviving. Specialny's moving around again, trying to get sight on the chaparrals, so that my mortars can get some more shots on those. Now, because I'm fighting at increasingly longer range, especially once you come out of this tree line, I'm bringing in a T-55 Merida. They don't carry ATGMs, but they carry a gun that's good enough to deal with transports, infantry, as well as some vehicles, such as the chaparrals. And that's the target that I want to kill off right now. If we kill this off, it's going to make operating in this area a bit easier. Spotted some infantry going towards this tree line where the Specialnies are. And I don't have too much infantry in here right now. I got my commandosis, I got my second group of commandosis over there. And you can see that the Specialnies as well as the LSTRs are engaging the Panzer Grenadiers that just came into this tree line. And even a Martyr is very, very easy pickings. I didn't even lose a single guy to that Martyr. Bringing in another group of infantry here. But again, no casualties on my side. That's how good these guys are. It's also time to start reinforcing these guys. These commandosis took quite a beating as they were going around here. I think they got hit by a bombing run, slightly, as well as spending quite a bit of their ammo and helping out these guys here. So Partizanov over here was helpful enough to resupply my guys, and of course reinforce them. It's not really me he's going for, he's of course going for his own troops, but I happen to be in the same region. Now, since there's just nothing going on my sector of the map, at least not too many skirmishes, I'm also moving up with everything else except one lonely group of commandosis that's holding the town. If I were to lose every infantry group that's in here, and this is by now a really high value target for a bombing run, I would still have one group of commandosis and they wouldn't be able to push right back into this town without taking at least some casualties. Also got the Groms here to help out with any AA threats, and you can see that I shelled the Delta Force first before pushing in with my infantry. But there's just a bit too much infantry and I haven't put up a smoke screen yet, so I'm gonna hold and wait for the smoke screen to come up. Of course, constantly firing and maneuvering, especially important with the mortars, because these mortars were becoming increasingly dangerous to the enemy, and they were becoming an increasingly priority target for them. Now the Merida managed to take out, I believe, one, maybe two Bradleys there, and let's see, Ironic is putting an attack marker there, which is probably because he may have seen command infantry in there. Putting up smoke screen. And bring in another T-55, but this time a Dyna 1 with some HGMs. And you can see I'm constantly bringing in new infantry. I want to have a constant supply of infantry on this front line. Unfortunately my commandosis were forced to pull back here because the Zippos were getting a bit aggressive. And I lost a Specialny Janotki regiment as well as a Wach regiment. Because I think I got hit there by a Harrier with one of those paveways, whatever, the 1,000 kilogram bombs, the laser guided things. You can see a lot of AA going up, and that's going to be my new target. I'm going to try and get across the area here, and I'm smoking a larger front to not show the enemy where I'm going to attack, because I want them to think I'm going to attack the town, while instead I'm not going to. I'm going to go around. This is something that I don't see enough people doing. You can put up a diversionary smoke screen, that's one thing, but also if you find that the enemy has a really strong position, such as the tree line here, it's easier not to go in there. It's easier to go around. You can see that the Blue 4 opposition there did know what I was doing, or at least to some extent they expected it, and they hit me with a bombing run, killing off quite a few LSTRs, but the others are still doing pretty good. And now I'm really happy that I brought my Merida, because the Navy SEALs are very, very dangerous with that hawk. Motorized taking out another Bradley there, and I believe I have some more reinforcements come up at this stage. Here, there's the Dyna, there's another 2 units of infantry. And as far as AA, I'm still lacking in that area. I still need to bring up more. Now, because my front is pretty much shifted to here, I brought up the commandosis. I'm bringing up the Groms to deal with any AA threats, because while the LSTRs do have AA, they're not that great in a smokescreen. So the Groms are moving up and trying to engage that Frog, which is doing a bit of machine gun runs on both my infantry and the VDVs there. And meanwhile, my Specialnies and LSTRs are going to work in killing off anything that they happen to see in this tree line. And I really don't have that much infantry here. It's just 26 guys, but they're doing an amazing job. As well as getting some backup from this Merida. The one thing that I was worried about with the Merida is that it was running out of fuel. And I was not exactly in a position to start resupplying these guys, so they just had to keep going. And I had to be pretty clever about where to move them and when to move them. Here's the reinforcements coming up. I also brought up the commandosis that have been fighting in this town. And with these guys, if I can move them across, I have a significantly increased battle presence here. And you can see that I'm not actually going into this town, I'm just going around it, trying to scope out any AA vehicles that might be hiding behind the safety of the village, or the relative safety of the village, because as you can see, it's not quite safe. You can just go around. Shelling this position again. Just trying to move the enemy a bit, but they weren't doing a lot of it, and I'm not sure if they actually had anything. Yeah, I managed to damage or stun some riflemen there, and you can see the opposition wasn't really that heavy. But of course I didn't know that back then. Chaparral parked there, which is exactly what I was hoping to find, some pretty high point AA units. And as you can see, I'm still leading in points, 1275. Lost my last surviving guy of the LSTR group, so the Bradley took it out, and the surviving LSTRs retaliated, taking out the Bradley. And at this stage, they are just all trying to move back. Now this was a bit unfortunate. I'm not sure if you can really see it, but these are the wrecks of my mortars. They got hit by an M270 ATA-CMS, and I lost 4 mortar carriers instantly. So from here on out I had to go out without smoke. I luckily had still some mortars in reserve, so I could bring those in. But it was going to be a while before I could actually get the points to get those guys in. Lost my surviving LSTRs due to a, I think, artillery shot there. But I found the TACOM, and that's the prize that I want to get. That's another 100-point infantry unit. On the other flank, I'm coming in with my commandosis, capturing this building, nailing the Delta Force, and now it's just a matter of making the riflemen get the hell out of here. As I'm pushing up with my Groms, reinforcements, my T-55 is going this way. And the next objective is going to secure this area as quickly as possible. There you go. Riflemen are dead, and this town is now mine. I'm also pushing up with my transports, and this is because at close range the transports can be really effective with their machine guns. In case you haven't noticed, these things have an AP power of 1, which means that at their maximum range they're going to do 1 armor penetration. At close range they're going to do a lot more, because the kinetic damage increases. Okay, they won't go through the frontal armor of, say, a Leopard 2A5, but I don't expect a Leopard 2A5 there. And if I do, I'm going to nail it with Motorschützen or any of the other infantry that I have in here. But what they can be useful for is trying to nail Bradleys. May not be the first thing you're thinking of when you're bringing these transports, but they are pretty damn good at doing that job. And some of these transports also carry AGGMs. Like for example the OT-64C. Killed a martyr there, but lost a transport. And of course this tank over here is a bit at risk to short-range autocannon fire, as well as being completely out of fuel, so this thing just turned into a turret. But I managed to repel that push, and they're also pushing up from the right flank now with LTC Gerald. Gerald notices how much infantry I have in here and thinks the better of it, decides to pull right back into the relative safety of the incline here, because of course I cannot shoot down through this hill. Again, this is a major artillery and or airstrike target, and I should have paid more attention to that. Not in the sense that I lost a lot of troops here, but it could have really easily happened. And there you go, we got one Alpha Jet coming in with a bit of napalm, dropping pretty much right on top of the commandosis. So trying to get those guys away from the fire. But other than that, you're going to need a lot more napalm in order to clear out this forest, in order to drive me out. And this is where the transports are also useful, in just suppressing the infantry as they come up. Lost one Motorized 90, lost one Commandosi, so that was another airstrike. And this is what I meant. I was being too bunched up here, which will lead me to lose some forces. Bradley there, being neutralized by the Specialnies. Another 15-pointer there. And I'm also clearing the way for Ironic over here on the to my right. Brought in an Mi-8 to bring in some resupplies so that I could send the Kolos back to the Mi-8, and of course it cannot completely resupply it, but it's faster than sending the Kolos back to my FOB and then getting it all the way back to the front line. So I'm just transferring supplies here, and in case you haven't done this before, you don't need to do anything. Just make sure that you have your 2 logistics units in the same area. So what I'm doing right now is just waiting for this thing to be refueled, waiting for my reinforcements to arrive, waiting for my Groms to get there, and providing a bit of fire support with my Dynas against the Navy SEALs here. BTRDs from Ironic managed to take those out. And now I need to start to think about recon on this flank. Without recon, this tank is really not that useful, but what you may have seen it do here is kill off an M113 as it was crossing the river. And that made it so that the infantry that was inside it died instantly. Let's see if we can do it again. No, he already managed to make it across, so the infantry has been offloaded here. Yep, you can see 10 Panzer Grenadiers survived, but they are shaken. And this for me is an ideal position. Have them outside the forest being offloaded, not inside. Because if they get inside, they can easily wipe out my Merida. But if they get neutralized outside, I can use my transports or whatever is left of them, as well as my infantry and my tank to pound them before they get here. Now I've got a very nice sight shot on the Leopard 2A4, putting it on half health. And mind you that this is a 135-point tank. This is a 50-point tank, and I managed to hit something pretty much 3 times above my own price class for half its health. Unfortunately, after that it was out of range. And since this thing was out of fuel, it couldn't exactly pursue it. So, moving my recon up towards the left flank, getting a bit more optics in here, and also providing targets for any friendly airstrikes or artillery strikes. Now at this stage in the game, I'm just consolidating my position, making sure my infantry here is resupplied, rearmed, and that I'm getting this tank refueled, so that I can then start thinking about pushing up. And pushing up in this position is not that easy for a motorized deck. You really only have 1 or 2 stepping stones, which is this tree line and then this forest. That's the next step. Other than that, you could try doing a sort of semi-amphibious landing if you want to avoid the bridge. So going across the river, or going towards this forest and then trying to hit up that town right there. But again, very open, very exposed to any kind of fire support vehicle, autocannons, anything you can imagine that can hurt infantry or lightly armored transports. And you're going to be in trouble right quick. Now I believe that at this stage I was bringing in some, yep, here they are. I'm bringing in some more mortars as well as a bit of more recon. But I only have 3 mortars in this group because I have exhausted my reinforcements. You can only have 7 of these in this East Core or East 4 deck, unfortunately. Let's see, I also got a new bunch of Commandosis in here, and I'm slowly starting to load up my troops in transports, so I can push across to this area quickly. I don't want to take too long for that, and I want to wait for my smoke screen to be up in order to do it. But once it's up, I want to be able to get there quickly, without taking too much fire from ATGMs that might be holed up there, fire support vehicles up there, or airstrikes as they see me moving across. My Specialnies here are moving up slightly, but enough to see that command vehicle there. And my my mortars weren't in range just yet. Otherwise I would have tried to immediately neutralize that command vehicle. You can see that they're now in range. and they're opening up with a couple of 120mm rounds. Also flying in a seed here. This was a pretty big mistake, mostly because I didn't exactly micromanage it. Missile jumped over, and this time around it actually survived, but next time it won't be so lucky. So putting some shells on target here, or at least I thought I was, but for some reason the shells either never arrived or they missed entirely. Anyway, now I'm starting to get some shells on target. It's not the most accurate, but I'm just trying to force that thing to move so that they give up some more income. As well as pushing into this little tree line here to neutralize whatever's in there. You can see that my commandos unfortunately got murdered by the Panzer Grenadiers there. And my Wacht regiment is having a quite hard time to deal with the Brennus. But I should have moved these guys in there. There you go. Unfortunately, airstrike comes in, nails my Wacht regiment with more napalm. I have to get these guys out before they die, and there you go. That's one group down. Commandos are getting hit. Lost the Wacht regiment, and this is mainly my bad because I didn't bring too much AA. I do have an FLA SFL 57-2, which is a really old unit, but in a situation like this it can be useful. Those S68A guns have a quite high rate of fire, decent amount of HE and a bit of suppression. I'm not getting them for their 1500 meter range against helicopters, but mostly for their anti-infantry capacity, as well as having a decent amount of frontal armor of 5 points. So again, really bunched up here. I should not do this without having sufficient AA, and I don't have sufficient AA. So take this as a lesson and don't try and do the same thing, as you're expecting to keep all of these things alive. Moving some more infantry towards this position, and I'm trying to get spots here with my commandos because I don't really have any recon at this stage. Did manage to find a AA unit, or the Ural spotted that, I'm not sure, but either my Flampanzer or my SPW took that out. More infantry is being moved up here. And over here on the left I can still see the Leopard 2A4, but I cannot hit it. I just don't have the range to get out there and touch it. So I'm going to bring my Merida to that position, trying to get a shot at it, but not exactly any luck there. Now you can see that I was not micromanaging this seedcraft, and it got nailed by the chaparrals there. I just sent it forward and forgot I had it, because I was too busy pushing up towards this area. I'm putting up some smoke screens with my surviving prams here, with my new prams. I'm going to block off sight to the road, as well as blocking off sight from the tree line itself. And by doing this, my units actually have a decent chance of making it across. Of course, there's always the question of airstrikes and helicopter strikes, but I'm just going to have to risk it. Because at this stage, nobody was really moving up. Our right flank was doing a great job over here to push up and move around. And I was going to try and do the same thing here in the middle, as the left flank just did not really seem to be moving at all. And surprisingly, I made it into the smoke screen without losing too much. Or without losing anything actually. A couple of Zenocide F-18 Hornets come in. Didn't manage to get me, and I did manage to neutralize their recon there. Now if these transports get hit, I don't care about that. I just want my infantry, my Motorschützen and my Commandosis, as well as everything else that I'm trying to rush across here as fast as possible to survive. Cortal dying to a bit of heavy machine gun fire there. You can see that those things are really not survivable. Now when I do start to bring in AA, I didn't remember to micromanage it, which cost me a 90-point Niwa AA launcher. Bit unfortunate, but I was just too busy micromanaging this push and trying to get everyone across safely. You can see there's an ATGM firing here. I believe that was a Martyr, but we're going to see that soonish as the Commandosis will spot it. Let's see, what are you? Oh, sorry, it's an AMX-10 hot. And this thing was just being an ATGM vehicle, not really being that effective. It only nailed one transport, and my Commandosis took it out easily. Now again, I got a lot of troops sitting here bunched up, which is risky. But for some reason, I got away with it. I should have taken one or two massive airstrikes and gotten killed off right away, because I just didn't have any AA. All I got was the SFL, and that's never going to stop an enemy aircraft. I also have my Groms in here. If you want to move anti-air infantry, always move them in a transport. Because while my Commandosis have an off-road speed of 30, these guys only have an off-road speed of 15. Which means it's going to take them significantly longer to get from, say, this position to the other side. Now I also brought in one concourse. One group of ATGM infantry is enough to pose a threat to any vehicle moving about here. Unfortunately, they didn't really have any spotters other than the Jetnotkis here. So I'm hoping that there's not really anything out there, or that I can spot it with other infantry or other friendly units. But I don't believe I had to really use it. It did fire one missile. I seem to have forgot about this infantry group here. And again, mostly because I was focused on pushing up fast and far into this terrain. I was actually pushing up so far that my mortars were now out of range. They just couldn't help the push anymore. Too far away. You see, Dima put a command Leopard just outside this radius, or just outside this zone. And over here, Partizanov is also pushing up with some expensive units like T-80Us. Make that 3 T-80Us. Getting nailed by the Hornets, probably those by Xenocide. You can see that for some reason this Leopard doesn't fire, so it probably doesn't have any recon. M1A1 by Xenocide pushing up, trying to nail some of the T-80s, but really that wasn't any of my concern. I was much more focused on trying to get spots on Dmitri, to try and find their command vehicle and neutralize it. The one problem that I had was that I didn't have any long-range weaponry. I could spot the target, but I couldn't hit the target. And in order to actually make or get myself the capacity to do that, I'm going to bring up these prams quickly. I'm going to try and get them into this forest so I can start to neutralize any command vehicle that I spot, or to put up a smoke screen so that I can move up. And again, as I'm thinking of it, some time ago someone mentioned that if you cannot play without mortars, you're a complete noob. I'm gonna reiterate what I said before, and smoke in a map like this with a motorized deck is one of your biggest assets. If you don't have the capability of putting up smoke, you're going to be throwing your stuff at the enemy and dying real quick. Take this situation for example. There's a Sergei, an ERC-90 there, and I believe some other stuff, another Sergei. If I were to just try and wing it and move my infantry across, that would be the last thing they do. Because Sergeis, well, they're not terribly effective. They do have a 7 rounds minute rate of fire. There's 2 of them, and they could have easily nuked both the Jetnotkis and the Motoschützen. With a smokescreen, I managed to balance this out. Because if I can create a corridor of smoke, the ERCs don't have a line of sight, they don't have a shot, and I can actually move my infantry across safely. So again, use smoke to the best of your ability. And not only smoke, I'm also pushing up some more AA units, which I managed to hotkey together and turn them off. So I now have a Niwa and a ROM here. And unfortunately I was a bit late here in activating those, because the planes had almost passed. But I did manage to nuke 1, maybe 2 of them. Because of course up front here I got my Groms, which still carry 9 of their 12 missiles. Mirage 5F coming around, getting nailed by the Grom. Another Mirage coming in, trying to drop some bombs on, I'm not really sure what. Probably my transports here. I managed to kill 2 transports, but I'm not really worried. Unfortunately I lost another AA unit, which was the ROM to the Jaguar A that flew over, that Seacraft. You can see that I managed to push extremely deeply into the enemy territory. And I don't think that is any of my original force here, but it is definitely some of the most deep pushing I have done with a motorized deck like this. There's a Rafale, which is going to take a bit of fire there from my Groms, but unfortunately they run out of ammo. I can see the command vehicle, as stated before. I can spot it, but I just cannot do anything else with it. I don't have the capacity to reach out and touch it. So I'm going to bring my Merida up here and try to get a shot at that, but they're too far away. Luckily, I was able to make it across here without taking too much casualties, because the enemy didn't have any reconnaissance force here. So, stunning the command vehicle, making sure it doesn't move away. We also got some other artillery coming in, and they managed to neutralize Dmitry. So with that, we have neutralized one of their command zones, and by far the most important one, because now they can no longer bring airstrikes, which was, to me, the biggest threat here. Over on the right, I'm engaging a bit of a counter push here. A couple of Segays are coming in. Akula is trying to neutralize them, but not doing a terribly effective job at it. But my transports should be able to take care of that easily. Jetnotki's here engaging an M8, taking it out, and there's still something else there because I haven't captured the fob yet. And that's an M270, probably the one that managed to take out my mortars. So what I'm doing here is moving up, trying to neutralize these guys, and with that I hopefully capture the fob, as well as scoring another 150 points for the Jetnotkis. You can see I'm still leading by points, 2,900. Almost got myself killed by friendly fire there, because the guy didn't point where he was going to shoot at. And I think he was actually trying to destroy fobs, which is some of the worst planning or worst tactics that you can do. Especially in that situation where I had almost full control over the fob. Anyway, as for my results, 3,100 points in kills and 1,100 losses. When you're using infantry, you're always going to take some losses, because they are just not as survivable as, for example, a tank. They don't have any armor, they're just a 10-man squad. But they do have the capacity of dealing damage way above their weight class. Like, for example, these Specialny Jetnotkis, which I'm bringing in for, I believe, 30 points. Say a transport of 10 points, making for 40 points. But they managed to take out an M8 as well as the M270. And with that firepower, or with that those kills, they already killed off 230 points or 210 points, somewhere between that. So they already got almost 5 times their worth out of that. And that is something that I really, really enjoy about Motorized. You can move fast, you can try and push across terrain quickly, but you do need the right maps to do it. Something like Hop and Glory is not ideal for Motorized deck. It can be done, but it's not ideal. Jungle Law is quite literally, as the map name indicates, the law of the jungle. Whoever has the best infantry is more likely to win with this deck. So if you want to try out this deck for yourself, the link to it is in the description down below. If you want to send me your deck or your gameplay, please use the links down below. If you send it through me through Steam or a message or a comment or whatever, I just won't be able to deal with it, because I like these things channeled into my inbox. So use the links in the description down below if you want to send me either. Also, remember that Thursday, that is tomorrow, I have a stream of Armored Warfare going up. We're going to be starting about 1900 hours, so that's 7 PM Central European time. And I will probably be having the Cloaking Donkey on my channel or on my stream as a special guest. He has a YouTube channel that's also geared towards Armored Warfare. Link to that is also in the description. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like. If you have a question, leave it in the comments. And other than that, I look forward to seeing you next video.